You ever wonder what the secret to success is? How do I become an elite agent or producer? Do you ever ask yourself that? That's exactly what Courtney and I have a conversation with elite agency owner Michael Venable about today. In today's episode on The Buzz, we're going to break down what he would have done differently early on in his career that he learned later on that changed his career. We're going to be talking about processes and systems that you need in your agency to turn it into a revenue monster, what you need to be doing personally and professionally to develop yourself and your team. With that being said, let's start the show. Hey, welcome to the Insurance Buzz. We are your hosts, Michael and Courtney Weaver, and today we have a very special guest, Rockstar Agency owner, Michael Venable. Michael, how are you?
I am doing amazing this morning. Beautiful sunshiny day. We have no choice but to have a great day.
Yes. Anytime I'm on this side of the green grass and I am not warm food, it is a good day. Absolutely. It is a good day.
It's all about our attitude. We have a choice. So I'm choosing to make it a great day.
I love that. I actually just heard that human beings, one of their biggest superpowers is our ability to shift our perspective. I'm like, wow, if that's a superpower, shifting your perspective.
You are in control of it. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And we're choosing the good today. And we're going to have some good information that we are sharing today.
My whole mantra that my team knows is I'm all about changing your mindset. That is the single biggest thing that's contributed to my success over the past 24 years of me doing this. Has been my mindset. So if through this podcast someone can listen and can go in there and change the way that they think about things, that's the value that I bring. I stress to my team, I stress to my customers, the value that I bring is helping you think about things differently. And if I can help you think about things differently, then you can change. You can help reach your goals. Because if we do things like everybody else, we're going to get the same results as everybody else. So let's be different. Let's be a little bit weird because I don't want to be like everybody else.
Okay, so you've been doing this for 24 years. Have you been an agency owner for 24 years?
Yes, so they hired me March 15th, so beware the odds of March of 2020, of 2000. And then I opened my agency December 1st of 2000. And so I was an external candidate, started brand new as an agent and started rocking and rolling.
Okay, I love that. So we're definitely going to come back to the mindset piece because I think that is critical. But while we're talking about you starting your career 24 years ago, all right, one question we always get asked is, if you could go back and do something different, would you? And so, Michael, I'm going to pose that same question. If you could go back the early part of your career, maybe not the first year, but the early part of your career, is there anything that you would have done differently or you should have done differently that you've learned from and looking back today?
Absolutely. I think all of us, if we don't have something we would change, we probably aren't being introspective enough and think too highly of ourselves. But I realized this is not a sales game. This is all about systems and processes. And in order for us to truly scale this business, we have to have good systems and processes that we can hire additional team members to be able to drop them in to run those systems and processes to be able to scale our business. So I would have started by hiring more team and getting better at my systems and processes earlier in my career. The other thing that I would have done differently, and kind of through my story, in 2008, I was invited on a mutual fund leaders trip. I didn't qualify for it, but they invited me as a guest attendee. And so I went to Aspen, Colorado. I was on the plane with an agent named Jeannie Gregory. She's in Gallatin, Tennessee. She's a rock star. And I was able to get her bag from the airport, and I was able to get her coffee the next morning. And so I realized that was the first meeting that I got to be around the top agents in the country, the top 10 agents. And I realized that their markets were no different than mine. They weren't any smarter than I was, but they thought different than I did. They thought bigger. And so I came back that year, and with the same team, the same market, the same rates, I changed my mindset and I changed my goals. I just simply changed all of our goals to our scorecard maximum. And when I did that, that was the first year we hit Chairman Circle. That was the first year we hit level 3 travel. And so with nothing else changed but my goals and my mindset. So if I would have changed that in my first year of agency versus my 8th year of agency, I could have really sped up the growth. So thinking bigger earlier, and a lot of times I think we are hindered by the folks that we surround ourselves with, and sometimes we aren't intentional about seeking out the people that we want to be around. And so when I met Jeannie, I then started trying to surround myself with the top level of agents that were so much better than I was. But they really weren't better than I was. They thought differently than I did. And so when I started hanging around them, my thoughts changed and I started thinking differently. And then all of a sudden, my production in my agency, the growth in my agency just started going up because I surrounded myself with people that thought differently than I did. So I would have done that earlier in my career. So surround yourself with people that do a much better job than you do. And those folks that are negative and are whining and are complaining, move on. Now, you can still care about those people, but you don't have to spend time with those people. So, and because I've had agents in the past that I'm good friends with, and I care about their families, and when we talk about their families, what's going on in their personal life. I don't talk agency, I don't talk business with them because they're not, anything I tell them, they're not going to implement it. So I'm wasting my time, I'm wasting their time. So you can care about people, but when it comes to your business, make sure you're surrounding yourself with people that are going to push you and see the opportunity. This morning we were talking through that book, Chase the Lion, and if you look for excuses, you'll find them. If you look for opportunities, you'll find them. Surround yourself with people who see opportunities, not excuses.
All right, so let's dive into this real fast because I agree with networking. I think it's kind of like the old saying, like the birds of the same feather flock together. All right, so I get that. So when you say thinking bigger, because thinking bigger may not have a direct, instant impact on your business. So when you go back to that moment of thinking bigger in 2008, you went back to your agency. Did you increase the expectations? Is that what you did? Or what exactly did you do when you think of the process of thinking bigger to drive results in 2008 with the same team?
So that meeting was in April. So I came back, and I think my goals that year were to write $40,000 in premium. Because I think at that time that had gotten us level 2. And then all of my scorecard, they were in the middle. I was going to be a quote-unquote good agent. I was going to qualify to travel, but I came back. The scorecard maximum was $65,000 in life, so I came back and I changed it to $65,000. And health was $19,000, and bank was $7,500. And so I just came back and I raised my goals, and I came back and I told my team, here's what our new goals are. Let's start pushing for this. And I think that year we wrote $55,000 or $60,000 in premium. My goal in April was 40. Okay, and so now our goals in our office are exotic travel, multi-line presidents club, and chairman circle. Those are just our expectations of what I expect. So with what your question was, did I change the expectations? Yes. So I think when you expect those things, that's what people, they're going to try to reach what you expect of them. So, and they might not always do that, but then you can coach to that to be able to raise their potential.
I agree. As humans, in my experience, whatever expectation you put on yourself and as a leader in your business, others, you're either going to barely fall short or you're going to barely hit it with most people in your business and even including yourself. So I love that. It's an easy way to just automatically increase production.
And we put limitations on ourselves a lot that are based on what has already been done. So I love somebody who has no expectations, who comes in green, because if you say, I want you to write 100 life apps this year, they have no barrier of if that's possible or if that's not.
Exactly.
And I think a lot of times when we get into business, we kind of see, okay, this amount of policies makes a good agent. This amount of policies makes a great agent. I'd like to be somewhere in this, instead of getting around people who are absolutely, to your point, just crushing it and blowing your mind of what's possible. So I want to touch on the processes because that is huge when you come back, especially when you change expectations. You said it's not a sales game; it's a systems and processes game. And you were talking to two salespeople who immediately went, "What did you say?" No, because a lot of times, if you're listening to this and you're struggling with systems and processes, it can be overwhelming on which ones to start with. So if you had to pick one or two that are like the systems and processes, if they have nothing in place, or even if they do have systems and processes in place, the one or two that you feel like will drastically change your insurance agency, which ones would you nail down as those like few processes?
I think it's just the initial conversation. And I think there needs to be consistency across. If you have 5 salespeople and they're all calling out and trying to quote new business, and if they all 5 have 5 different ways of doing it, you have no way of knowing what's going on. And so just having consistency, you can have a sucky sales process, but consistently do it. And then you can figure out, okay, well, if I want to hit a sales goal, then if I know it sucks, well, I need to do twice as much work. Then you can start tweaking and saying, okay, well, maybe there's a little bit better way to do it. So there's not one right way, but you need to have consistency across everything. Whether it's Weaver Sales Academy or Trophy or Coach P or whatever system or process you use, I think there's a place for all of them because some of them work differently in different markets and different cultures in the agency. But having consistency, I think, is the key. Because if you don't have one way, there's no way to be able to say, okay, how do we get better? Well, I don't know, because they said, well, how did you say it? Well, I don't know how I say it because I say it different every time. So consistency, I think, is the key. When I talk about systems and processes, it's not one right way of doing it. It's that there is a system in place, and then you can improve upon that system.
A mantra that I like to recite is a consistent plan, always executed, is better than a perfect plan, never executed.
Yes. Yeah. We were talking about a story last week in our team meeting where I think it was something I saw on Instagram, but he was talking about a potter in a class and said, half the class, he said, I want y'all to make one pot. I want it to be the perfect pot. And then to the other half of the class, they said, I want you to make as many pots as possible in the next 30 days. And so at the end of the 30 days, the folks who had...
Are you preaching to the choir right now, Michael? You are preaching to the choir. Transformational selling. If you are trying to sell on price in the insurance industry, you are going to lose, and you're going to set yourself up for what I would consider a very miserable career of just not fun.
Yeah,
that's fun.
That's the thing when you're talking about this of we're trying to make our customers feel a certain way, provide an experience. That makes it enjoyable for everyone involved. Even showing up to work. Now it's not just about pushing a product or I'm selling insurance. It's I'm providing a great experience. And that's mutually beneficial.
Oh, yeah. And everybody wants more referrals. And you're spot on. My question is always, are you referable?
Mm-hmm. Yes. I mean, and it's all the little bitty details that you do. And that's, I mean, it's a lot of the little things. What does your office look like when you walk in? I mean, our office was built in 1911. It used to be a daycare, and it's got brick walls, so it does not look like an insurance agency at all. It looks different. I've got a black lad that comes to the office with me every day. His name's Jake. Of course, Jake from State Farm. And so people get upset whenever they come and Jake's not here. So I'm even to the fact that whenever I leave and if I'm out of the office and out of town, one of my team members actually watches Jake and brings him to the office every day.
That's super cool.
That is a great situation for
Little
Jake
bitty
too.
details,
Like,
just to set ourselves apart, to be a little bit different than everybody else. I want to be different. I stress to my team, we want to be different because we don't want to be like everybody else. If everybody was like us, there'd be a lot of successful State Farm agents in town, and we only need like one per town. That's good.
I want to dive into that a little bit because we've talked about what you would change over the past 24 years, going back to the beginning. But let's talk about what you have done really well. And you're talking about being different. I'm curious, what does different look like to you? And what have you done well over the past 24 years that you're like, this is where we nailed it?
I don't know what different looks like because it's just who I am. But again, I think it comes back to that mindset. So Hopkinsville, Kentucky, 35,000 people, primarily agriculture, industrial, and then we have Fort Campbell Army Base is 10 miles away. So those are kind of the three legs of our economic stool. You don't associate super rich people with any of those. So we're not a overly wealthy community, but at the same time, I've been President's Club and IPS 3 times. So we've consistently done that. And being different, helping people with their money, helping people with just their goals, and asking questions to be able to help. A lot of people don't even understand what their goals are. And so I try to coach my team to be able to have a full conversation around their assets. So again, once we find their assets, we can ask them questions about what's important to them. And one of our things, whenever we're doing a fact finder, we always ask people, we go through basically a little net worth statement. And at the end of it, we always say, so Michael and Courtney, what do you think your largest financial asset is? And most people will say their home or their 401k. And then we'll go to the next page and it actually graphs it out and it shows that their future unearned income is their largest asset. And I'll say most insurance agencies are going to spend time with all of your stuff. But right now, if I took all your stuff away from you, you could earn it back and buy it back over time, correct? Yes.
Yep.
Now, it'd be a pain in the butt. We don't want that to happen. But if I took all your income away from you right now, could you keep all of your stuff? And you shut up and you allow people to process that and think and go, yeah, no. I said, well, here at Michael Venable State Farm, we're a little bit different. We want to make sure that we protect your biggest asset along with all your stuff. And they're like, oh. So then that easily transitions into life, disability, and umbrella coverage, liability coverages that are higher because we're protecting their income. And that's their biggest asset. And so, and I always stress, most insurance agents are going to spend all their time talking about your stuff. We're going to cover that, but that's not the most important thing. So again, being different and being able to show other people what most agents do and what we do and how we're different. So
you're educating, you're having conversations that very few insurance professionals are having. You're educating them, you're finding problems, you're offering solutions. For those of you listening right now that you don't know what President's Club is or IPS is, ultimately what Michael is, he's top 50 in the company in investment planning services, which means you're helping clients out with future planning of their money. All right. So you're crushing it and you just dropped a consistent process that you do with every customer every time that allows you to get into that conversation. So if you miss that, make sure you go back and listen to that, because what he just gave you was the exact word track that you can use with every customer every time to get into financial services conversations, and taking the conversation away from the PNC conversation and getting them to actually think in a holistic way around what does my future look like? Wow, I'm my biggest asset. So thank you for sharing that. That was really, really great. I would like to know what you're currently, so the insurance landscape over the last 18 to 24 months has changed, all right, with rate, with claims, weather activities. I would love to know what you currently are doing, if anything, differently over the last 18 to 24 months than maybe you did prior to that.
We're not doing, again, once you have good systems and processes in place, unless something's broke, you don't really fix it. And yes, is there a difference in prices? Yes. But right now, everybody's prices are going up, so that actually gives us opportunity. So you can look at it both ways going, well, crap, our rates are going up and this sucks. Or you can say, oh, everybody's rates are going up, so everything's churning, so I still have opportunity.
There's that mindset piece you're talking about.
Mm-hmm. Shift in perspective.
You can look for excuses, you'll find them, or if you can look for opportunities, you'll find them. Mm-hmm. I choose to look for opportunities because it doesn't matter who you are, how much money you got, what market you're in, life can be hard. Mm-hmm. So it's how you look at it and look at the opportunities. So whenever we're having conversations with folks, kind of the way we get into that conversation is, Michael and Courtney, thanks for coming in, sitting down. As your risk advisor, we need to know what we're actually protecting. And just like if you walked into the doctor's office, you wouldn't walk in and say, hey, Dr. Smith, diagnose me. He's got to do blood work, blood pressure, height, weight, ask all your symptoms, all that kind of stuff. Because if you just walked in and said, diagnose me, and he wrote your prescription and handed it to you, what is that called? Malpractice. And I don't want to perform malpractice on you. Just because you have 100, 300, 100 for your liability limits, I don't know if that's adequate. I'm going to ask you these quick questions real quick, get a quick net worth statement to figure out what assets we need to protect. Because you may be grossly underinsured, you may be overinsured. I don't know. But until I can actually do my blood work, I can't really give you, I can't advise you. So that's what we are.
I love that.
I'm not an insurance agent, I'm a risk advisor. So.
Yep. I love that. We did something very similar at the agency to where anybody that walked in the agency, we gave them a client profile form to fill out, just like when you go to the doctor's office, you got to fill out a form when you get there. It was the same form asking questions very similar to what you're asking, and that just allowed us to figure out, like, navigate the conversation to the specific customer we were talking to, and gave us a lot of information without us having to ask upfront questions. So I love that.
I have a question, and I have been dying to ask this since we got on and we started talking about hobbies and fun and all this stuff. Mm-hmm. You have been in the industry for 24 years, so you have seen a lot of things.
Yep.
If I were to give you $10,000 right now and tell you to invest in your business, what would you invest in?
Probably team and team training to continue to develop them into leaders. I'm only one person, and we all know insurance is, you don't get rich off any one household. It's a volume game. And so the better I can develop my team and the better I can develop them into leaders, my team leaders, if they can get better to be able to pour into folks underneath them, that's the way you can continually scale. So
yeah,
I'll give you my Venmo so you can send it. So
assuming they're close, baby, let's go. But it's so true. Like I always, and it's our philosophy. It's something I share with new agents that are getting into the business. Like the number one way to grow your agency and business is through good people. And the only way you're going to get good people is if you develop good people. Like most people just aren't going to be great coming off the streets. Like you have to develop leaders. You have to develop many agents within your agency to be able to scale. If you want to be a huge agent, growing, be great, have a giant book of business, you're not going to get there by yourself, period. So I love that, man. Like great advice. Michael, I got to say, you sent me a book, Chase the Lion. All right.
Yep.
I'm 3/4 of the way through. It was awesome. I know that this book had a pretty big impact on your life. I would like to know, I know you're going to recommend this to those that may not have ever read this, all right, but why do you recommend this to everybody that you talk to, any business owner that you're talking to? Kind of go into that a little bit.
On the front cover, you can look at it, it's Chase the Lion. It says right underneath there, it says, if your dreams don't scare you, they're too small. And I think that just helps frame things to say, okay, am I doing things in my own power? And there's a heavy faith-based with that book. I mean, the guy that wrote, he's a pastor. So it's very faith-based. Faith is very important to me. Romans 12:2 is my life verse. That verse says, don't conform to the customs of the world. Allow God to create you or transform you into a new person by changing the way that you think. Then you'll learn God's plan for you, which is good, pleasing, and perfect. So the key word in that verse for me is allowing God to change the way that you think, hence mindset. And also a play on words, don't conform to the customs of the world, but allow God to transform you. So you are either conforming or being transformed. You get to make the choice. I choose to allow God to transform me. And so that's what this book helps change your mindset, to be able to think big. Are you actually living, or are you just trying to arrive at death safely? That's not very much fun. Let's go live. God created us in His image to be able to go do amazing things through His power. And part of it for me, so I'm stepping out. I know how to get President's Club multi-line. We've hit all those numbers in order to be in the top 100 in the country 1 year. I can do that. So God didn't get glorified whenever I can do the stuff in my. So I actually told my team, our goal is to be trophy, top 10 in the country. Now, that scares me, because guess what? I'm probably going to fail at that. But guess what? If I get to number 20, is that really failure? No. And so that book will stretch you if you allow it to change your mindset and to think bigger and to actually go out there and live. And whenever you're living on the edge, you're more alive. It's so much more fun than to play it safe. So, I mean, I've got a decent size agency. I could play it safe and just kind of bring in, stop advertising as much, and earn a nice living. Mm-hmm. But what's the fun in that?
Yeah, where's the fun in that?
LIVIN, baby. Are we living?
Yes. And so Chase the Lion helps frame it. There's a lot of stories that Mark Batterson tells about through his ministry. I mean, they own city blocks in Washington, D.C. And a lot of them, they were given to them. I mean, so it's just, he started praying for stuff and stuff happened. I mean, so thinking a lot bigger, allowing God to use me for him to be glorified. It's not about me, because I limit what I can do, but there's no limit to what he can do through me.
Yes, sir. Michael, this is awesome. Thank you so much for sending it to me. I appreciate it.
And now I understand the note that you wrote in here. I did not know that was your life verse that you wrote underneath here, the Romans 12:2.
Yeah, so it's actually in my conference room. Romans 12:2 is actually on the wall, great big letters. So, I mean, people know where I stand, and I'm not ashamed of it. So,
yeah.
But I think that's where I can make the biggest impact, is helping people change the way that they think. And if I can be a vessel for that, then that's the way God's chosen to use me. I try to be very intentional, regardless of where I am, to be very missional.
Absolutely. This has been awesome. You've dropped a ton of golden nuggets today. If somebody wanted to follow you, connect with you, support you, Michael, what's the easiest way for them to do that?
Michael Venable State Farm or just Michael Venable on Facebook. I'm not real active on Instagram. I do a little bit on Instagram, LinkedIn. I'm not a huge social media guy. I try to be present right where I am. So
I love it.
Reach out to me, drop me an email, michael@michaelvenable.com. I love pouring into people. I've had loss in my life, and I've had tremendous success in my life. And so, again, through that mindset, quick story, I lost my first wife in 2012. I had 3 kids, four kids, 3 biological, 1 adopted. She passed away in 2012. Since remarried, adopted a 5th kid from Ethiopia. But through all that, I've had joy, because God gives us the gift of joy every day. But just like if I give y'all a gift, you have to choose to accept it. And so there were days I didn't want to pick it up, but most days I picked up that joy. And so our mindset is so important, because through that, I mean, my wife passed in 2012. We hit level 3 travel, and then in 13 hit level 3, 14 exotic. So through tragedy, I've still been successful because I've surrounded myself with good people. I've had the right mindset. And now, so last year, I lost my sister, who was 32 years old and was pregnant. My brother-in-law, walking out of the hospital, he looked, he's like, how old were you when this happened? So even though I had experienced great tragedy, I've now got the opportunity to be able to minister to other people. And there's a State Farm agent that lost his wife back in December. I was able to reach out to him. So we've all had bad stuff happen to us. The way we choose to react to it, we can use that as an opportunity to be able to serve other people. And that's one of my closing things. So there's only 3 things that I stress to my team that we have to do every day. And the first is we have to be proactive. So we have to look for opportunities to be able to serve our clients. We have to look for opportunities to serve each other on our team. And we have to look for opportunities to improve ourselves. With whatever we're doing throughout the day, if it doesn't check one of those 3 boxes, we don't need to be doing it. So I'm here to be able to serve more people. I like to win, and we're going to win. Tell me I can't do something and watch. Because especially with God behind me, anything can happen. But I want to grow, because that means I will put my team up against serving against any other agency team out there. And so I want to be able to serve more people because we do it the right way. I want to be able to serve my team. And that's really, as an agency owner, my first customer is my team. And money doesn't drive me, but I know that watching my team accomplish their goals and helping them accomplish their goals, I'll make money. I've got 5 kids. I'm not rich. I'm a walking ATM machine. But then the third is improving ourselves. If we need to be on have a constant view of looking for ways to improve ourselves. And that's when we improve ourselves, we can serve people better and we can serve our team better. And then it's, so that's who we are. We end all of our team. You can call my team and say, what are the 3 things we have to do every day? They're going to say, look for opportunities. We have to be proactive. It's not reactive. Proactively look for opportunities to serve our clients, to serve our team, and improve ourselves. So
I have a bracelet that I wear, Michael. When you were telling that story, it brought me to my bracelet. It says joy. That is literally the word that I'm always focused on. So I love that you shared that story.
Yep.
Yes.
That was powerful.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for sharing that.
It is a choice.
It is a choice. Michael, thank you so much for your time today. This has been amazing. For all of those of you listening or watching right now on YouTube, thank you so much for tuning in today to The Buzz. We appreciate you. As always, time and attention are by far our most important assets, and we appreciate you taking the time to spend the day with us. Go out and make it great. Michael, thank you again.
Michael, Courtney, thank you guys. Appreciate y'all.